Hey, hey. I'm going to talk about why dogs struggle with distractions whilst I'm having a little break and scatter feeding all of these guys. Check them out. They're so cute. Go on, go and get your food. Why do dogs struggle with distractions? Often, it's one of the most common things that we have as dog trainers. You know, they're great in the house, they're great in the garden. As soon as I take them out, they're a nightmare. And it is because dogs don't generalise easily in the way that humans do. If you learn to drive in a Mini and then you were asked to drive an estate car, you'd be able to do so adequately enough. Dogs' brains don't work that way. So any type of contextual change in our training scenario, and we'll cover the different contextual changes that can affect dogs, will result in the dog struggling and not truly understanding what is actually asked of them. So often this is labelled as disobedience, and in fact it's incomplete training, okay, because people don't understand it. So an example would be if you taught your dog to lie down on cue and in your house, and they responded really well to that, really reliably, and then you have visitors come to your house and the puppy jumps all over them, ignoring your request for it to lie down. So what's going on here? There's several contextual changes. Number one, you're in the hallway rather than in the living room, so the dog's never practiced the behaviour here, right? Also, your orientation to the dog will be different. So chances are, if you've got visitors at the house and the puppy's jumping up, you're behind your dog rather than in front of your dog, when you're really clearly giving a visual hand signal and having this moment with your dog in the training sessions that you've done in your living room. And there's also an emotional contextual change in that you're potentially panicking because the dog's not responding, or you're excited because you've got visitors, and just the general emotion of that event is different to a set training session where it's just you and your dog is really focused on you. I'm flitting my eyes off every now and again just to monitor where my puppies are going. And of course there's new stimuli within that training context. There you go. As in there's other people there, which is something that the dog's not experienced before when you've just been teaching the down command with you and him in the living room as a moment that you're having together. So what can we do about this? What we need to do is we need to generalise the behaviours, okay? So because dogs don't generalise easily, what we need to do is we need to teach our dog first in a bland environment like our living room. Once they're proficient in the behaviour, then we do it in the hallway, then we do it in the bedrooms, then we do it in the kitchen, then we do it in the bathroom, then we do it in the garden, then we do it outside the front step, then we do it on the driveway, then we do it at the end of the road, then we do it in the park. Okay? Every time you take one of those small steps going somewhat to a new location, good boy, come on then, all the way. Good boy, checking in. Good. Then you may need to check out these guys. Then you may need to, well, you will need to potentially go back to luring the behaviour and effectively go through reteaching the behaviour. But every time you change location, the amount of time you have to spend reteaching, recovering the guys, gently of each other. Could turn into a video about addressing play fighting in dogs. Come on! Good boy. These guys are still really young and do like to play fight with each other a lot, which I'm going to address now by putting one attached to me. But every time you change a context, the time that you spend training, retraining, recovering that should become less and less. Okay, because the dog has a better understanding of it each time you do that. Good boy. So what other things that the dog can also struggle with contextually, rather than just location, are stimuli within that environment. Hey, Stimuli within that environment, so other people being present, other family members, visitors, people in the park, children, other dogs. So prepare your dog for all of those instances by then, in the locations that your dog is really reliable in, start adding more distractions to that new environment. Emotional contextual changes can also matter. So the mood that you're in when you're training, the emotions that you give, whether you're overly happy, desensitize your dog to all of those scenarios. Desensitize your dog to all of those scenarios so that your dog understands that down is down. Down is down regardless of whether you're fully focusing on your dog, whether you're happy, whether you're in a rush, what you're wearing. Other cues can be, other contextual changes can be whether you're wearing a treat pouch or not, which is why I tend to not always train with a treat pouch on. Sometimes I have it in front of me, sometimes I have it on my butt, sometimes I have it actually on the table so that I have to go to the treat pouch to go and get the food. So it's not always that the dog thinks, okay, I understand it because they've got the treats on them. It needs to be more reliable than that. So that's another thing that we need to make sure that we're doing to properly generalise all of our training and to make sure that our training is fully complete. So before you label your dog as disobedient, as willful, as stubborn, be 100% sure that it is not in fact incomplete training and that your dog is fully understanding what is asked of them before you then start labelling them as naughty dogs, because I'm willing to put money on the fact that it's incomplete training over anything else. These guys are pelting it around. Look at these guys. Conti! Come on in! Come on! His tiny little legs. And his little brother's here. Good boy. So yeah, make sure that you properly generalise all of your behaviours when you're training something so that we can be 100% sure that the dog does in fact understand what we're asking of them. This way we are always fair to our dogs. So I'm going to go whilst these boys are chasing and playing and biting each other and deal with that. Go on, Ed! Okay, generalise your behaviours.